The dissemination of the art of printing. In no time at all, the art of printing was practiced by Gutenberg, had spread far beyond Mainz. We know that by 1500 around 30,000 different texts had been printed in 1,000 printing presses. The reasons for the speed of this development were the continued prevalence in that period of the peripatetic apprentice, the lucrative prospect of profitably marketing an attractive new invention in diverse locations, the direct demand for access to the new invention from regions beyond Mainz and its immediate environs. There was in addition a further localized reason, the feud that occurred in Mainz in 1459–63 between two rival bishops, Dieter von Isenburg and Adolf von Nassau. On 2 occasions this led to the expulsion of some of the city's working population. Bamberg was the second German city in which printing in the Gutenberg manner took place, and in this case there is evidence of a direct connection with developments in Mainz. On this occasion the metallic type employed had come from Mainz. It was known as Donato's calendar type. Gutenberg had himself used this for a number of minor publications, among them the so-called Turkish calendar. It is possible that some of Gutenberg's apprentices, among them Heinrich Käffer, took a complete set of this metallic type with them upon leaving Mainz, and in due course established a new printing press in Bamberg. It was with precisely such metallic type that, from 1459, the so-called 36-line Bible was printed, and from 1461 the Bamberg early printer Albrecht Pfister used the same type in printing Ulrich Boner's collection of fables, Der Edelstein, the precious stone. From 1460, printing in the Gutenberg manner was also taking place in Strasbourg. The early printer here was Johannes Mentelin, whose first production was a 49-line Latin Bible in a Gotico-Antiqua type. He followed this with works such as an edition of Virgil or, as shown here, the Etymologia of Isidore of Seville. In 1466, Mentelin was responsible for printing the first German translation of the Bible. From 1465, the German printers Konrad Sweinheim and Arnold Pannartz were at work at the Benedictine monastery Santa Scholastica at Subiaco, near Rome, having accepted an invitation from the monks there. As they had brought no metallic type with them from Mainz, they devised, cut and cast their own, in this case following the manuscript models available to them, thereby creating the first humanist typeface for use in the printing of books, subsequently known as Antiqua. The first volumes to be printed in this type were an edition of the work of Lactantius and Cicero's De Oratore. In 1467, Sweinheim and Pannartz moved on to the Curia at Rome, where Ulrich Hahn from Ingolstadt had established his own printing press a year earlier. Seen here is an edition of Cicero's De Officiis, printed in 1469, again in a humanist Antiqua type, and richly decorated with acanthus leaf scrollwork. From 1469, another early printer, Johannes von Speyer, was active in Venice, where in 1471 his brother, Wendelin von Speyer, became the first to print an Italian translation of the Bible. The refined art of carving Antiqua type was also mastered by Nicolaus Jensson, who had travelled to Venice from France, and who from 1470 printed exceptionally elegant editions of works from classical antiquity. Seen here is his edition of Cicero's Tusculanae Disputationes. In Augsburg, meanwhile, from 1468, Günther Zeiner was noted for his production of elegant texts in German. Here we see the first richly illustrated German Bible printed in 1475. In 1470, in Nuremberg, the printer associated with extremely large productions, Anton Koberger, was at work. We see here an edition of the Facetiae of the Italian humanist Poggio, printed in 1472. We have yet to consider two great European cities, Paris and London. In 1470, the prior of the University of Paris, the Sorbonne, Johannes Heilin de Lapide, and the rector of its library, Guillaume Fichet, issued an invitation to three German apprentice printers, Heinrich Gehring, Michael Friburger, and Martin Kranz, commissioning them to print editions in a relatively large antiquatype of classical and humanist texts for use in teaching. Here we see a volume they printed in 1477, the Manuale Confessorum of the Dominican Johannes Nieder. It was, however, only in 1476 that printing in Gutenberg's manner reached England, in this case thanks to the efforts of William Caxton. He had previously been active as a textile merchant, had long had commercial connections with Bruges, and had learned the art of printing in Cologne. In 1476 he was formally permitted to set up a printing press in Westminster. In that very year he produced an edition of Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. In 1477 there followed an anthology in English translation of the most important quotations from celebrated men of learning from both classical antiquity and the medieval period, the dicts and sayings of the philosophers. This was printed in a so-called bastard type, with which the Caxton press was to become associated.